of Bongbong Marcos or whichever candidate the United States does not want to win in this country.
The Justice Department says embattled Pastor Apollo Kibuloy may be put on immigration lookout pending the request for his extradition to the U.S.
Magkakaroon din kami ng sarili naming evaluation. Kung sa tingin namin ay merong merito doon sa request nila, no? Pupunta na kami ngayon sa husgado para mag-file ng petition for extradition.
Mahirap ang maging appointed son. Lahat ng kasalanan ibabato sa iyo.
A close friend and advisor of the president is in the most wanted list of the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation after he was indicted for sex trafficking and fraud. The U.S. and Philippine governments have yet to coordinate their next steps, but will the Philippine government turn over to the U.S. The FBI's most wanted? We discuss in this episode of the Chiefs. Welcome to this edition of the Chiefs. I'm Robbie Alampay, also with us online. Ami Paminton of the Philippine Star, she's in Manila. And here with us in the studio, Ed Lingao of One News. Chiefs, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Eve of Campaign.
Oo nga, Eve of Campaign. So, Ami, anong binabantayan natin?
Well, Monday, the good news muna. Mukhang maganda naman yung reception ng children's vaccination, sabi ng DOH. And, of course, for the first time in a month, 6,800 cases pa lang tayo ng COVID. So, good news.
Okay. And in the meantime, are you tracking, can you keep track of all the presidential candidates? I think people are starting to position for tomorrow.
Oo nga. Oh, yan, binabantayan natin lahat yan. Ako, 10 yun, ha? 10.
Yeah, we tend to forget 10 sila.
And then, Ed, mamaya, maybe a quick briefer. We're going to be talking about Pastor Kibuloy later on.
Who was indicted and who now faces a warrant of arrest coming from the U.S. and who just more recently was featured as wanted in a wanted poster released by the FBI. So, yun. Now, their allegation is that this is all a conspiracy by the U.S. To undermine the candidacy of Bongbong Marcos and company.
Well, like I said, we will talk about that a bit later on. But for now, we begin tonight with former COMELEC Commissioner Rowena Guanzon. Good evening, Commissioner Guanzon.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, Amy. Hi, Lucy.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. And ma'am, how is retirement treating you so far?
Well, I woke up late, and that's a good start. I was in a Zoom with one of our top comedians, Alex Calleja.
Oh, si Alex.
Which was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I got to, spend time with my dogs and my friends.
But how much time have you spent keeping track of everything that's happening in the COMELEC? It's only been a few days.
Well, I read the news, and some people still text me. Some commissioners still greet me. But, I'm retired, so I'm just waiting for my big check.
Ma'am, question on everybody's mind. When you retired, I think it was Wednesday last week, at nandun din sa event si Commissioner Ferolino. Kayo po ba nakapag-usap in any way? Was there any exchange of words between the two of you?
No, she was very junior, so she walked at the back.
That's a quick way of putting it. So, hindi ko kayo nakapag-usap at all?
I didn't see her at all because she was there at the back, standing, behind me, second to the last.
Are you ready to name the senator? We understand na naibulong nun niya kay Senate President Tito Soto yung identity ng senator. Are you to identify?
I think we'll do it all in it's the right time, But for now, it's enough that it's out there, and people know that it was It wasn't just a solo act of Feralino, you know. So let's see what's going to happen. And this presidential election is going to be the what do you call this, game changer.
But is there going to be any...
Your accusations now tended to undermine the credibility of the COMELEC. What do you say to that?
No, I don't think so. You see, none of the commissioners spoke up, and even the chair in the last management committee meeting chided Feralino and said, bakit ba hindi mo na lang ilabas yan in front of all the regional directors the day before our NBank retirement program? So, as you know, you can, the proof of that is the other commissioners were listening, were watching the news. They said, it's your call, Combing, as presiding commissioner, and they respect me for my, what do you call this, my decision, and they have read my separate opinion. So let's see. It does not undermine the credibility of the commissioners. But the COMELEC, yes, it has in some way undermined the credibility, because it means that if some politicians can interfere with the decision in a case of a commissioner, then they can also interfere in the operations, how that commissioner will vote in policy making and operations guidelines is going to be, what do you call this, a problem in the future. That's why the COMELEC commissioners should really be independent and impartial. But, you know, I've said it all already.
But ma'am, let me go back to that, to what you just said, influencing the commissioners by a senator. What information can you give us about that? Ano ho yung pagkakalam niyo? What exactly did you hear?
I was getting the scoop already. I'm retired. I already told you. Right, if the Senate calls me, I will have privileged communication. But I'm not going to give you the scoop because I didn't give it to others also. Let's be fair. You have to ask me how my life is after retirement, you know.
Ma'am, tayong apat lang naman eh. No, ma'am, kasi of course everybody's curious about it. You've spoken about it quite a bit last week.
Everybody's curious, but I already told Senate President Soto.
But yes, ma'am, but what everybody's wondering about is the nature of the information that you hold. We're not asking about the identity, pero from what you whatever you can tell us about what was.
You have to move on to the next question because I already answered you. Otherwise, we'll waste time here.
Sige, let's move on to the next question. If you don't mind, we know you're a private citizen now. At the same time, you are an expert on elections. We're on the eve of the start, formally, of the election. Somebody actually asked me, okay, so what actually changes? We've been seeing ads. We've been seeing people campaigning. So what actually changes tomorrow? How would you frame the mindset of people for tomorrow?
Tomorrow, they are officially candidates for national offices, including the party list. So tomorrow, their expenses are going to be counted starting tomorrow. They're also covered by the rules starting tomorrow, such as electioneering, you know, the sizes of the banners, no posting on government buildings, on trees. And in rallies, you know, no beso-beso, no hugging, no physical contact with anybody during the campaign. So they should police their own ranks.
Yeah, but it
because,
just...
you know, COMELEC cannot really watch all of them, but certainly the COMELEC will have videos. And also the COMELEC's preparing for the presidential debate. We already passed a resolution about that. Now, I don't know if they're going to require them to appear, you know, that it should be mandatory because, you know, some people, they don't like to go to debates. They just rely on their rating and they don't show up. And, you know, the debates is precisely so that the people will be informed of their platforms, what are their plans, what are they going to do, if they're elected president, if I say a crisis, a financial crisis happens, diba? So I don't know if the COMELEC will require that to be mandatory.
Yeah. People, of course, are getting their education with every elections on the imperfections, what works, what doesn't work. One of the things that, of course, people always say is so many loopholes in campaigning, so many loopholes in spending, and so on. What
No,
to
it's
you
not
can
buying.
be? What to you can be easy but important reforms that can be made to make elections fairer and cleaner?
Well, vote buying is a serious problem in the country. So there should really be stricter rules and laws on vote buying and all forms. For example, vote buying now it can be done electronically. They can get funds from abroad and do it on a three-tier level, and spread it out through, let's say, PayMaya or GCash. That's one form of vote buying now that's going on. So I think the rules and the law should catch up with the technology of vote buying. And of course, there's always COMELEC control for those people who use violence, etc. But that's a very, it's very tedious business. And political parties really should. I think this multi-party system, it doesn't work. Kasi the people don't understand what these parties' platforms are. They just vote on the basis of popularity. Maybe we should go back to the 2 or 3 party system. And then again, for gender equality, the political party that will fill the minimum of, let's say, 30% women should get funding from the government, like a state fund for gender equality. It's being done in other countries. So this way, let's say women's party can be put up.
So public funding for parties, for political parties.
Yes, that are poor or who have sufficient number or percentage of women as candidates.
Ma'am, balikan ko lang yung sinabi ninyo, you don't know if COMELEC will require a debate to be mandatory. Actually, a lot of people are asking that. Pwede bang gawin ng COMELEC yun? Can COMELEC say that all the candidates for president have to attend the debate, or that's beyond COMELEC's authority?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can order. They can subpoena. If I were there, I'd subpoena them. You don't attend, okay, pasundo kita.
Pwede yun, ma'am. Pero ano yung kapalit? Kung sakaling hindi pumayag, can COMELEC impose any penalties on that?
That's why I said it's up to them now. Because kung ako nandyan, and it's mandatory, and we did discuss that, but I didn't comment anymore because I was retiring. Kung ako yan, if it's mandatory, it's mandatory. If you don't show up, you'll get the wrong end of the stick.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Commissioner Guanzon, please, we just need to take a break. Please stay with us. And those of you watching,
Sure.
please stay with us. The Chiefs will be right back.
Welcome back to Chiefs Show on One News. We are going to continue. Oh, wait, now, Ma'am, welcome back po. We understand you stepped out for a while, so it's good to have you back again. We are, of course, still with former COMELEC Commissioner, now retired, Rowena Guanzon. Ma'am, I'll pick up where we left off. I think kasi a lot of people may be surprised na pwede palang i-require ng COMELEC na mandatory yung attendance sa debates. Kasi a lot of people assumed na that's beyond COMELEC's jurisdiction or authority. Can you talk to us more about that? In what way or with what laws can COMELEC require mandatory participation in a COMELEC-sponsored debate for the presidency?
Under the Constitution, the COMELEC has, and the Supreme Court rulings, the COMELEC has sole discretion as to the manner and the nature of administering elections. And the debate is part of that. That's part of voter education, which is the mandate of COMELEC also, to make sure that the voters have an informed choice. But it's really it's up to them.
Yeah.
You know, if they wanna make it mandatory, it's up to them. We very soon, I think on February 9, the acting chair, the incumbent senior commissioner Socorro Inting,
Yes, ma'am.
who's former justice of the Court of Appeals, will be elected by the Commission and Bank as the acting chair because the president has not yet appointed. So it's really largely up to her because she's the leader of the COMELEC by February 9.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even if it's not mandatory, if the COMELEC holds a debate, why will the candidate not show up? No? I mean, if you don't show up for all these debates, people should already start thinking whether to vote for them or not. Because what are their plans for the country? What will they do if there's a financial crisis? What will they do if there's another, what do you call this, pandemic? I mean, those are real questions from the people, which they cannot answer if they're not there in the debate. And in the debate, you can compare them, diba?
Yeah.
You can compare yung apples to apples. So makikita mo talaga, sagot nito. Okay. So, so that the people also can compare in one sitting. So, it's up to them. Ako, kandidato ako, I'll go on debate, di ba? Hindi naman ako dapat mahiya dyan o matakot dyan. Yung may kahiya dyan, nakikita tatakutan dyan sa mga tanong, yun yung ayaw pupunta sa debate. Bakit ba kayo tatakbo, Presidente? Hindi ayaw naman makipagdebate.
Red flag nga daw for voters. While you were talking about reforms, you can help initiate reforms if you will join politics. Meron ka bang balak? I'm talking about Rowena Guanzon in retirement now. May balak ka pa ba pumasok sa politics?
Oo naman, kasi di ba, my family has really been in local politics for a long time. In fact, since the Commonwealth, in fact, since 1897, my great-grandfather was the Capitan Mayor of Kabangkalan. And we've been in politics a long time. And it's an option for me in 2025. Or I might, this time, I might support some candidates. No?
Pero ma'am, ang
I
binanggit
might
niyo
support
local.
some candidates na I believe will make good senators. No?
And on retirement, habol ko lang medyo light muna tayo. It can be quite a stressful situation, no? But karamihan naman sa atin, merong mga support system. Ikaw, ano yung support system mo in your retirement? Sino bang halimbawa ngayon, Science Day, meron ba kayong balance?
My family is really my support system and my sorority. We're very close, and I have buddy friends like your brother Dante Pamintuan. That I can always go to, and he can cook for me, and I have close friends that I can be myself. No, so that's how I relax when I can be myself, because when you're with real friends, they stick with you when you're down. That's how you count your real friends, and And my family is really very supportive, and my sorority. So yung I stand with Guanzon, automatic yan sa classmates ko, sorority ko, buddies ko, and my family, of course. And as you know, I live in Negros, where we have, we're kind of slow pace there. So I relax there. We have plenty of dogs, goats, and but I'm gonna stay here for a while because this is where the action is, and I want to go into voter education. So
Yeah.
I'm accepting all the invitations now, as long as they have at least 20 people who will listen to me, including College of Law, students, because the people have to be informed about what can we expect from this election, what citizens can do to protect their votes, what are the standards for selecting a candidate, di ba? And why did I DQ BBM? Yung
Pero ma'am,
Voter education muna ako.
may tinutumbok si Ami eh. Tutumbok ni Ami, Valentine's Day na.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. I always get roses and chocolates and wine on Sana mas marami pa ako ngayon, Valentine's, kasi retired na ako Dapat mas marami akong Valentine's ngayon.
Ano yan, male and female ba yan?
O, edi, I'm single naman, di ba, Ami? So, pwede naman ako ang dami nag-gosh, I love you sa akin eh. Girls, boys, mga bading, gosh, I love you sa Twitter. Sabi ko, I love you back. But seriously, I'm not in a relationship. I'm not. I'm 64 years old and I'm set in my ways. So, kawawa naman yun, di ba?
Yung mga bading may LGBT ties ba?
Sorry?
Meron bang LGBTQ ties? Bakit sabi mo pati yung mga bading male?
Oh, kasi mandami akong friends there. And I know a lot of people who are bisexual and, that's how human beings are. You have to accept that people have different sexual orientations and they can be attracted to you, to me, whatever their what do you call this, their sex, no? And I think Valentine's Day really is very commercial because the concept is really heterosexual, no? Male, female. Except that for people like me who had mothers, it's always Valentine's Day, nana, So it's really Valentine's Day should really move on to yung the fact of modern families.
Na ano yung modern?
For example, there are families that are where male and two men are married or living together, two women are married living together. There's an exceptional one. They're married. Joey Mead King and Angie King.
Yeah.
They're both women now, and they call each other my wife. I think it's a good thing that people are now aware that these things happen. I mean, humanity has evolved. I mean, some are really shocked by it, but it's because I think you're just not used to it. Because in other countries, people are used to it. This has been happening a long time, and I know some couples, both men, both women, who have adopted. So I'm saying Valentine's Day is a very heterosexual commercial thing, and it should not be. It should not be, because if you love your mother, your mother should be your Valentine's. If you love your what do you call this? Your lover, he should be your Valentine's. But as I said, the commercial definition of concept of Valentine's is really it's really pictures heterosexual relationships. So that's how they sell roses and chocolates. It's commerce.
Diretsuhin ko na, ikaw, ano yung personal, if you don't mind, ano yung personal orientation mo ba?
Well, I don't have to answer that in public. But as I said, I'm a very, I think I'm a very attractive person to people who are not afraid or intimidated by my strong personality. So, at my age, you go. At my age, I really get interested in bright people, because at my age, I mean, what are you gonna do with a nice body?
That's a good point.
And Alex Kakalye asked me this morning, Mom, what about your sex life?
Oh, yun naman.
I said, Alex, kahit wala ka sex life, meron naman akong imagination. She ended at that.
Retired Commissioner Rowena Guanzon, ma'am, we really wish you well in your retirement, and we will certainly continue to follow all your advocacies, if not, in fact, support them for better elections, cleaner politics, and everything else. In the meantime, maraming salamat po, and we look forward to still having you here on the Chiefs.
Ingat po.
Thank you. This is the PWD sign for I love you.
Yeah. maraming salamat po.
Okay.
Thank you, Ami.
Bye-bye.
Ingat po. Di ba commercial
Hindi
yun?
ko amin na si Dante yun.
Okay. Now joining us, shifting topics here, now joining us, Attorney Ferdinand Topacio, Legal Counsel of Pastor Apollo Kibuloy and Chief State Counsel, Attorney George Ortha II. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sirs. Magandang gabi po, attorneys.
Yes, good evening po sa
good
inyo
evening
lahat,
po.
sa inyong mga tagapanood.
Apa.
Yes, good evening. It's good to be here.
Apa. Let me start with you, Attorney Ortha. Maybe just give us a brief background. People have heard about the FBI putting Kibuloy on its most wanted list. What does that mean in terms of us? We do have an extradition treaty with the United States. How does that apply here? And what does this set in motion, if any, sa DOJ?
Well, right now, the DOJ, we have nothing to do right now, simply because of the inclusion of Pastor Kibuloy in the most wanted list.
So, but what was the process? If ever there is to be an extradition, that has to be a formal request from the FBI, from the United States?
Yes, there has to be a request, and it will have to go through the diplomatic channels. It's relatively a formal process.
Sir, I think what a lot of people are interested in is whether this would take a number of years or whether an extradition case will only take weeks. Typically po, how long? I know iba-iba namang kaso, iba-ibang length. Pero typically, what does an extradition case entail in terms of number of years or months?
Okay. Well, siguro based on past experiences, we really cannot say how long it will take. But your mention of weeks or months, that's well, I can say it's relatively not going to happen. Maybe it could take a number of years before.
Years.
Yes, before the entire process, can be finished.
Yes, sir. Well, kasi, sir, meron ding I think may pending case pa si Pastor Kibuloy, yung review ng case niya before the Davao City Prosecutor's Office in 2021. It was dismissed by Davao, pero I think it's still under review by the DOJ. In which case po, in case that is pursued or the dismissal is overturned, does that mean na kailangan patapusin muna lahat ng local cases before extradition is even considered?
The extradition process is a separate process.
Yeah.
So, it can proceed. Siguro ang issue is, will we extradite him eventually? So, that's another matter, Because under the treaty, there is a provision what we call, we can temporarily surrender. So, parang ipapahiram natin. That's a possibility. As you mentioned, if there are pending cases in the Philippines, he might be needed for trial, or assuming he would be convicted, then he will have to serve his sentence here in the Philippines. So we cannot fully extradite him. As I said, the most that can happen probably is a temporary surrender.
Okay, but Attorney Ortha, we do want to bring Attorney Topacio in, but just one quick question. Short of extradition, does it trigger or compel any kind of our own investigations here at the level of the Philippines?
No, because the allegation is that the offenses happened in the U.S.
But on the other hand, nabanggit na rin ng DOJ that you can issue motu proprio provisional arrest order and lookout bulletin. What can trigger those orders?
Let me clarify that, ma'am. With respect to provisional arrest, okay, that has to be filed also with the court prior to the filing of the extradition request. Now, if you are referring to a whole departure order, that we cannot do. In fact,
Look out.
yes, ma'am. Apo. So the whole departure order, we have no authority now. The one that you mentioned, the lookout bulletin order, an immigration lookout bulletin order. Yes, the Department of Justice in certain instances does issue that, but I'd like to clarify that an ILBO cannot be used as a legal basis to prevent a person from leaving the country. Otherwise, it will have the same effect as a whole departure order, which the Supreme Court already said the DOJ has no authority because of the absence of a law. If there is a law that would give that power to the Secretary of Justice, then that's a possibility. In fact, there was a proposal before to authorize the Secretary of Justice through a law. There was a proposed bill to issue what we call a temporary travel restriction order, but it did not prosper.
Pero for both orders, it has to be the U.S. government na hihingi nun. Tama ba yun?
For the ILBO, ma'am, not necessarily, no? Because for the provisional arrest, yes, because that's part of the treaty. It's a preliminary step. If necessary, okay, the requesting state may request for a provisional arrest prior to the filing of the extradition request. The ILBO, it's really discretionary on the part of the Department of Justice. It's really on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, now let's bring in Attorney Topacio. Attorney Topacio, good evening po.
Good evening, Attorney.
Yes, good evening. It's good to be here. It's my first time, and I'm happy to be meeting all of you.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chief State Prosecutor.
Okay.
Good evening po, Attorney Topacio.
Welcome to the Chiefs po, Attorney. Anyway, so you are legal counsel for Pastor Kibuloy. First of all, where is he right now? And we want to go straight to your what you're saying, that you're questioning the timing of this. You're suggesting that this is all politically motivated. What's your basis for saying that?
Well, it may be inferred from the timing. But before I go into that, if you will permit me, this is not the first time that the United States has intervened or interfered with the political affairs of another sovereign state. In fact, not only in the Philippines do they interfere, but in other countries as well. You know, there's a study by an investigative journalist named Dov Levin. It was a 2019 study. It was a 2016 study published in the International Studies Quarterly. This is an Oxford University publication, which concluded that the United States has interfered in the internal political exercises of several countries at least 81 times in the past 50 years or so. So I'm not fomenting any conspiracy theories here. The interference of the United States in electoral exercises of countries it wishes to influence it is demonstrable, and it has been done historically. Now, this interference may be inferred from the timing. The indictment against my client was made on November 10, 2021. And when the sealed indictment was unsealed in 18 November 2021, it appears therein that a warrant had been issued simultaneously on November 10, 2021. So the common sense dictates that if you have a warrant, you immediately want to publicize the person to cause his arrest. But why wait until February? Why 2022? Why wait until Pastor Kibuloy had openly endorsed the candidacies of both Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte? That is why we concluded that this is politically motivated, at least insofar as the timing of the release of the wanted poster is concerned.
Yeah, Attorney, if you don't mind, atras lang tayo ng konti. I mean, certainly we see what you're saying, that the timing certainly is inconvenient and awkward from the perspective of a campaign. But let's go back a bit to the charges, because these are pretty serious. Diba? Human trafficking, sex trafficking, smuggling. In the case of the sex trafficking, it involves minors. Let's atras muna tayo dun, and let's not talk about timing, because as far as we're concerned, this could also really just be a coincidence. Di po ba? Anybody in the world, they would take sex trafficking involving minors very, very seriously. So maybe you could speak to that first. On what do you say to the findings of the FBI that Pastor Kibuloy was involved in human trafficking, sex trafficking involving minors, and smuggling?
Well, I will not go at length into the merits of the case. There will be a time and place for that. I believe that what our audience should be enlightened on is the nature of a grand jury indictment. Now, unlike here in this country, surprisingly, this indictment is an instance wherein our country appears to exercise more in terms of due process. You know, in this country, when someone is accused of a crime, a charge is filed before the prosecution office by way of a complaint affidavit. The person accused of a crime has the chance to file a counter affidavit and controvert the charges. He may adduce evidence, both documentary and testimonial, on his behalf. The other party files a reply, he can file a rejoinder, and it is only after all these pieces of evidence are considered by the prosecutor does he make a determination of probable cause. You will be surprised to know, those who are uninitiated, that in a grand jury proceedings, random people picked for jury duty are put in before a federal, and only the accuser are heard by the federal judge as marshaled by a federal prosecutor. The proceedings are closed to the public. The person accused of wrongdoing does not have any opportunity whatsoever to present controverting evidence. He does not participate at all in the proceedings. That is why, my co-counsel in the United States, Attorney Michael Green, used to joke that, well, in the United States, you could indict a coconut, you could indict a ham sandwich, you could indict a dog. So that is the difference. Therefore, even polluted witnesses, in the case of Pastor Kibuloy, people who have been in the organization for a long time and who have not said a bad word against the organization, and only when they have been accused of absconding with funds of the organization, only when they have been expelled and disciplinarily dealt with due to misconduct, either sexual misconduct or ethical misconduct, did they get together and make these fabricated accusations against the leader of the organization, who is Pastor Kibuloy. That is why I am telling you this is a totally different thing. This is not a finding of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. This is that the indictment is not based on any investigation by the FBI, but on the mere testimony, the mere say-so of persons who have an axe to grind against Pastor Kibuloy and whose testimonies are polluted, who have every motive to lie against a Pastor Kibuloy.
Pero di nga ba, he will be extradited to give him a chance to give his side, di ba? Wala naman diyang itatry without giving the defendant a chance to defend himself.
Of course, but why go through the process of a trial if there is no crime to begin with? That is why there is a process of extradition. You know, it is easy to say, why don't we just get it over with? But not just because you have been indicted in a foreign country should you give up any of your rights. Any person, whether he's Pastor Kibuloy or Chief State Prosecutor Ortha or Ami Pamintuan, we all have rights under our Constitution and as citizens. It is a balancing act, Ms. Ami, between our treaty obligations with the United States, which has the force and effect of law, and constitutional guarantees afforded to every citizen, which must be protected by the state. And in the hierarchy of laws, the status of a treaty, while it has the force and effect of law in this jurisdiction, is only at the level of a statute. The Constitution is the fundamental law. It is the organic act, which is the superior law to which every law must conform.
So what are you saying, that we are not, kung sakasakaling mag-request for extradition, you will oppose it?
Well, definitely, because it is our right to oppose the extradition. It is part of the due process rights of every citizen. In this country, as in any other country, actually, the process of extradition is quite an established norm of customary international law. That in all extradition proceedings, the requesting state has to go through the judicial system of the country where the request is being made, and there is a probable cause hearing wherein the rules, the adjective rules of the state being requested and its local laws apply with respect to a determination of probable cause as to whether or not extradition should be granted or not.
But Attorney, well, no one denies the proclivity of these big countries from dipping their fingers into the affairs of other states. I mean, that's pretty well known. But typically they do this because of their national interest. What is the interest of the U.S. in as you say, undermining Pastor Kibuloy and by association as well, and only by association, therefore undermining President Duterte and Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte? These are all by association.
Definitely, because it would be nebulous to directly attack the sovereignty of a nation by direct intervention in the election. So, well, I can only conjecture, but it would not be a stretch of logic to see that any undermining of the present administration would redound to the benefit of the candidate, which the particular intervening country wishes to win in the elections. We have only to look at the experience of Bolivia in 2002, where indirect interference was being exercised actively by the U.S. ambassador in order to prevent the election of Evo Morales.
But Attorney, I'm sure there are other better and more direct ways of undermining candidacies done by association.
Let me ask Attorney Ortha. I mean, take advantage while you're still here. Of course, I won't ask you about any speculations or conjectures about foreign interference. But I do want to ask you, as far as you understand the legal processes, both in the United States and between the Philippines and the United States, is there anything out of the ordinary between whether it's the timings or the protocols or what we understand about the processes by which Pastor Kibuloy was indicted and then eventually finally announced to be on the most wanted list of the FBI? Is there anything out of the ordinary as far as you've monitored?
Well, now I cannot comment on that because we haven't received any request from the U.S. Department.
Okay, but as far as but therefore, I guess the question is because among other things, Attorney Topacio is saying that the timing here is really suspect. The indictment came out around November. We grant that. That was around the time that we started to announce who's running for president, and then now this comes out on the eve of the start of the elections. And so Attorney Topacio says, coincidence lang ba yan? But I think it can be posed as a direct question. I mean, on the other hand, it could be just a coincidence. And I guess the question is there anything, I mean, without giving any opinion on the content or the substance of the allegations, the question is purely on procedure. Is there anything out of procedure here?
Yes. As I was saying, the procedure you're mentioning is the procedure that happened in the U.S. So there's nothing yet that's here in the Philippines. So I do not know if will it really in the U.S. does it really take them 2 months, 3 months to publish a wanted list from the time of the issuance of the warrant? That's why what I'm saying is I am not familiar how they do things there in the U.S. How long, how or when do they constitute a grand jury for the purpose of getting an indictment, then the getting of the warrant, and as mentioned earlier by Attorney Topacio, okay, there was already a warrant as early as November. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is, when he's trying to say, why publish it just now when there's already a warrant as early as November? So what I'm trying to say now is, I am not aware if that is customary in the U.S. Does it take them that long or that fast to release a most wanted list? Okay.
Attorney Topacio, since you are saying this is politically motivated, do you have any particular candidate na you think will benefit if the United States intervenes?
Well, I would not be so bold as to venture into that. But what I will say is that since Pastor Kibuloy has openly endorsed the candidacy of Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte, the next day the warrant was published. Therefore, publicly discrediting Pastor Kibuloy, probably it is the hope of those who wish to influence the outcome of our elections, that publicly disgracing the pastor would weaken or dilute the power or the force of his endorsement of these two candidates. And with respect naman to the issue as to whether or not there are more direct manner of involvement, yes, there are. But there could be diplomatic repercussions as to what happened to Trump when it was alleged that Russia was interfering. That is why these state agencies of the United States, the CIA, other agencies, NGOs, these foundations, think tanks, they employ a very subtle manner of trying to influence elections with the end in view of having a plausible deniability when the proverbial excrement hits the fan, so to speak.
You think malakas pa impact non considering that the charges actually were mentioned weeks ago pa, yung sex trafficking or all those accusations, they were announced long before the start of the campaign.
Yes, but a wanted poster is more visceral. And you can see the effect of that poster, which has since become viral. It insinuates certain things that are unspoken and which may be untrue, but definitely on a subliminal level, it has its effect. A wanted poster seems to insinuate that a person is already guilty, as shown by the many comments on social media condemning the pastor, when in fact, there should be a presumption of innocence applied to every person, every citizen of the country. Then there is the implication that the pastor has gone into hiding, because there is that request in that poster that information with respect to his whereabouts should be given to the nearest FBI office in the United States or nearest American embassy abroad. And truth in fact, the pastor every night preaches live in his own station, the SMNI. He says it's away from the airport is where the pastor is. He's not in hiding. It is not the same as if, what happened to Ping Lacson when we in the VACC had really to offer reward, or Ronnie Dayan. We had to offer reward to get their whereabouts. There is no such attempt to conceal himself on the part of Pastor Kibuloy. Yet, the implication of that poster is that he is a fugitive, is wanted by the law, he is in hiding, and he has been proven guilty.
Okay. Attorney Ferdinand Topacio, legal counsel for Pastor Apollo Kibuloy, and
Thank
of
you so
course,
much.
Chief
And,
State
thank you for the
Counsel George
opportunity.
Ortha II. Attorney Ortha, maraming salamat din po.
Thank you,
Attorney
attorneys.
Topacio.
Salamat
Maraming
po.
salamat din po sa inyo.
Okay. Stay safe and stay hard.
Kayo rin po.
Yep.
And that will be all for this edition of the Chiefs. We hope what was discussed here will keep the conversation going. Before we go, a reminder to our viewers, mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alakpay.
I'm Mami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
I'm Edwin Gao, and we are One News.